The male loneliness epidemic is all your fault. It has nothing to do with the women. We try our best to talk to you guys and be in crowds where you guys are at, and you don't try. There is zero effort given from the male side.
And it's disgusting.
And we're done with it.
It's disgusting.
The male loneliness.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Verse or Belly Dirt channel. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, I'm gonna be your today's host, and I have so many statistics to put up here, and we are gonna come out to talk about it. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
The male loneliness epidemic is hilarious because it's like natural evolution and shows that if men didn't control everything, women would just choose not to have sex with them. You know what I mean? Like, if you are just really a horrible human and you can't get laid any other way than forcing a patriarchal power, then that's just kind of like evolution, right? Like, it's an evolutionary chain of dudes who shouldn't get laid actually not getting laid for the first time. I don't know. Weird thought.
Do you know what would end the male loneliness epidemic? If men just slept with each other. Go read about the Greek Roman times where they used to just fuck each other all day, create brotherhood. Really, you're lonely for each other. You guys don't even like girls. At this point, you hate everything they do, you tell them what to do, and really, you're looking to impress other men. So I think it would just be solved with, like, yourself about it like most y'all guys do, and just get it. Oh my god. The answer's there. Figure it out. The gays did a long time ago. We're pretty happy.
Dang, every time I come on this app, I gotta hear about the absolute worst men possible. I need you to shut the fuck up. If you're a man and you're just fixing to just say something just like horrible things about women and just stop. There's all these men out there crying about men being lonely. You know, you're part of the problem, okay? Women are on this app seeing you show your whole ass. And then they think all the rest of us are like that. I'm gonna need you to shut the fuck up. I'm gonna need you to shut the fuck up. I'm gonna need you when you're getting upset and you wanna just some creator, just stop. Just stop. If she's being a misandrous, just call it misandry, okay? And keep moving. You don't need to argue. You don't need to tell her anything. I need you, please, to shut the fuck up.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but it is okay as a man to have feelings, express feelings, to be vulnerable, and to have weakness. We are in the midst of a male loneliness epidemic, and I think a big reason why is the return of all these dated ideas about masculinity. Building meaningful relationships and deepening social bonds requires a level of emotional honesty and vulnerability that too many men today equate with femininity. I don't personally think there's anything feminine about having strong friendships and relationships, and neither should you. And that's why it's okay to have weakness, to be vulnerable, to feel and express emotions, because if you don't do those things, you're not going to be able to form strong social bonds and deep, meaningful relationships. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it is okay as a man to...
I think we have a male loneliness epidemic because men are way more emotional than women. Men are so emotional that a woman can break a man's heart and he'll tell himself, you know what, after this, I'm not fucking with no other bitch. Every other bitch that come after you is getting played. I'm gonna fuck them hoes up just like you fucked me up. They're so emotionally untethered that they don't know how to regulate their emotions. Whereas a woman can get her heart broken and, you know, simply compartmentalize everything that she's been through. Probably has to do a little healing, a little therapy, you know what I'm saying? But they'll be able to fall in love again. Men just tell themselves, oh, I tried it once and you got me that one time, and they'll never try it again. They'll never tell themselves to put themselves that close to another person to be hurt again, because why? They have way bigger emotions than a lot of women out here. A lot of men won't tell you that. They won't say it, but they have way more emotions than a lot of women do. And that's why it's hard for women to find men, because a lot of them have only tried once. They've only tried it once, and then they just went to fucking bitches over. You know what I'm saying? It was easier that way. They don't get hurt. They can't handle that. Men are way more emotional than women.
Whenever I see a man complain about this male loneliness epidemic, what I hear is women have refused to sleep with you, and that is why you are lonely. A lot of you men don't want to form connection. You don't want to bond with these women. You don't want to commit to these women. You just want to hit and move to the next one. And these women are beginning to wake up, realizing that they are not toys that you can use and discard whenever you like. And because many of you men have been taught by this patriarchy system that your worth as a man is in the amount of money you make, is in the amount of muscles you can build. And these days, women are beginning to make their own money, and the only thing you place your value in no longer interests them, and now you are lonely. Some of you men, take away money, you have absolutely nothing to offer to these women. You can pull hooks though, but a woman who knows her worth and can provide for herself will need you to be more than just a provider. Not as if she will ask you not to provide for her. She will need you to be emotionally intelligent, mature, know how to hold meaningful conversations, connect on a deeper level, and can envision a future. Because some of you men, your heads are empty. If she cannot trust you in doing that, then she doesn't have any use for you. And how can I forget? That is why some of you men feel threatened by a woman's financial independence. Because you know you cannot control her with money, you feel like her financial independence is a threat to your leadership. So you go for women who will depend on you financially so that you'll be able to control them. And when you meet a woman who got her shits together, need you to be more than just a financial provider, you run away, settle for less to validate your inability to be a real man, to be a grown-up man. Look, man, I am always here. If you need to talk, if you need to grow up, I am always here. My DM is open.
I will never understand the male loneliness epidemic because, to be honest, women are so easy to impress. And I know this because my FYP has been recently flooded with a bunch of videos of men being, just a little silly, just a little goofy with their partners, wives, girlfriends, whatever. And the comments of these videos are flooded with women saying things like, green flag, give him another baby queen, we know a king when we see one, and etc. and etc. And I know if you're one of these people, you're not going to hear it because it's coming from a woman. But really, if you want a girlfriend, all you have to do is have a bed frame, basic hygiene, and maybe an opinion that is not from a podcaster named Chad. Also, stop calling us females. You sound like you're about to classify us by genus and species. You can't expect love when you treat therapy like it's witchcraft. Your idea of vulnerability is saying, I've been through a lot, and then never elaborating. Your last emotional connection was with the limited edition Gatorade. Listen, fellas, if you're lonely, maybe start talking to women like they're people. Not puzzles, not prizes, not threats to your masculinity. Because no one's swiping right on emotionally constipated with the gym membership. Trust me, it is so easy.
It's hard for me to feel bad for incels because most of the people that are like suffering from this male loneliness epidemic are really just a bunch of dudes that are upset that they can't treat women any kind of way and they don't have that entitlement to women's bodies like their dads and their granddads did, because women have more access to resources now. Like a lot more women are going to college, a lot more women have the chance to be like financially stable by themselves and not have to depend on another man, you know what I mean? Like they and instead of leveling up or doing any kind of self work to make themselves like a viable candidate for like marriage or dating, they just sit back and bitch and moan about how unfair society is and how society lied to them. And it's that last part right there that makes me have no kind of empathy for these dudes, because it's like they sit up and watch red pill content all day, and a lot of the content is where it has like women being held accountable, and it's just really hypocritical because they aren't holding themselves accountable for their bad behaviors and their actions, you know what I'm saying? And it's just it's frustrating because they, no matter what you say to them, they're always going to have this victim mentality about them, and it's just annoying as fuck. And now there are some dudes where it's like they have a hard time talking to people in general, and they aren't like the typical incels, and I do feel bad for those dudes because like I suffer from social anxiety, you know what I mean? I know what it feels like to be scared to talk to folks in public, you know what I mean? I have those people I have empathy for, but the other motherfuckers that want to get violent with women and force themselves onto women, y'all are hoes.
Hey, yo, patriarchy makes men gay. And ain't nothing wrong with being gay. But I wouldn't, for the life of me, I will never, ever, ever, ever understand why these men want women to put clothes on. Like, it's to the point where it's making me mad. Like, it's annoying. it's annoying both online and offline. It's like you'll see a woman, she'll be dressed however she's dressed. Like sometimes she don't even have like shown a lot of stuff. Like it's just like you can see cleavage, and it's just like look at that. Or if you're online, they say dumb stuff, but they always comment about how like they don't have that little clothes, and I'll be sitting there thinking like, bro, do you not like titties? Like I'm pretty sure everybody likes titties. What be wild to me is like having the audacity to think like you own a person's body who doesn't even know you. By the way, this woman doesn't know you exist. But like you think that your opinion about this woman who doesn't know that you exist matters. And I know that it's probably going to sound like I'm pandering, but these be the thoughts that really be going through my head. I'd be like, she don't know you, bro. Like, why do you even care? Like, she got a little bit more titties and ass out. Can you just lust for a couple seconds and go about your day? Like, I thought that's, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why? Like, I'm sorry, bro. The fact that there's a male loneliness epidemic in the most sexually liberated generation of women ever, bro. Like, listen, I'm team bro. So this is why I'm saying this, because I need to help my brothers. That's the skills issues, bro. There's not a male, like that's the skills issue. Like you guys are nuts. Like it's so counterproductive, because it's like if you just let the women dress how they want, it benefits you too. Like, what don't you get? And it's like, oh well, I don't want my woman showing off. It's her body, bro. Like, what aren't you, like, this separate from you? Like, what don't you get? And like, it's 2025.
I love when someone is so adamantly incorrect. The male loneliness epidemic is not disputed at all, despite what Democrats and liberals and progressives and blue-haired septum-pierced lesbians want to tell us. This is well documented in psychology. But if you don't want to take my word for it, take it from the words of a trans man. If you guys don't know who Amala Ekpanobi is, I always butcher her name, but she's a queen. She was reacting to a TikTok video of a trans man literally talking about how lonely it is to be a man.
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. I had closer friendships with random women I met in the bathroom before I transitioned at clubs because of how open women are than I've had in my 8 years of transitioning.
It's such a heartbreaking video that this person is going through such a thing, and you know, it's a conversation that the trans community will never talk about, because the trans community is just political at this point, and they're always going to side with a leftist agenda. Of course, with a few exceptions like Blair White, because she's also a queen if you don't know who she is. But the thing is, liberals do this thing where they're like, we care about feelings and mental health is so important and it needs to be federally subsidized and all this stuff, but then they'll outright reject the male loneliness epidemic or the feelings of men because they just hate men. Men are not a priority in the Democratic Party, and clearly we can see that just from the vote totals this last election. Men across all racial categories moved towards the right. Black, brown, yellow, purple, green, it didn't matter the color. Men are moving to the right because the left has forgotten about men, and they are standing firm in that position, clearly with this comment.
So much of the male loneliness epidemic would be cured, I feel, if we just studied history and anthropology more. Because I think people are lonely because capitalism cuts us off from like our past, specifically like white Western capitalism. Because when you ask like me where I'm from, like I'm forced to understand where I'm from. Like no one's ever going to be satisfied with me being like, oh, I'm from Ohio. I have to be like, oh, I'm Korean and I'm Filipino. My dad was the first one born in America. My mom was born and raised in Korea. Like I have to deeply know where I'm from to like be allowed to exist, which actually really grounds me and like gives me a sense of community and built-in like infrastructure in my life. So like I never feel alone because I know that I have like connection to my community, connection to my identity, connection to like queerness, and connection to like even my ancestors. So when you ask like a white person like, oh, where are you from? Like the conversation always ends at, oh, like I'm from Ohio. Oh, I'm from Illinois. Oh, I'm from Massachusetts. Like there's no acknowledgement of past because we really are just kind of in this like consumer world. When it's like, oh, like I'm Irish and Polish. Yeah, my great grandparents like, you know, were starved by the British, it gives you context, it gives you understanding of world systems. Like if you talk to an Irish person and they're overweight or whatever, it could be directly epigenetically linked to the potato famine. And so then that alone would disassemble body dysmorphia and be like, oh, I accept who I am because who I am is a direct result of like my family's survival, which then creates community and solidarity. Then you can see yourself in the people of Palestine, in other people suffering in Congo, in Tigray. But if you're just like, oh, I'm from Ohio, life just becomes about like, what is the next restaurant you're going to eat at? What is the next outfit you're going to wear? And you're alone at home with a TV because everyone needs a TV. Everyone needs to cook their meals by themselves. Everyone needs to be subsistent. And there's a dissolution of village and community, which to me, that is the definition of loneliness, of not knowing who you are, of where you come from, and being forced to be alone because that's how capitalism demands you exist. Because loneliness is an extraction of your time.
The problem with the male loneliness epidemic is the same problem with other issues. The group who's against it just cherry picks or has their own conceptions of it and then pushes it out. And so now everyone thinks that's it. Mainly women thinking, oh, it just means that men are sad because they can't sleep with you. Or we have to change the way we talk to them. You know what? You don't have to do shit. You don't have to do shit. The main issue is that men and women, we're losing our third spaces. We're like withering our relationships. We really can't even talk to each other. Not just men and women, but women to women, men and men, all that stuff, right? So one of the groups that's affected by this is men. And we have a lot of effort and groups to really bring women out from like, centuries, whatever, millennia of oppression, right? And now that we are focusing on people with like disabilities, mental things and all that stuff, we're like, oh, hey, also, out of like all of these groups, this group too needs help. That's it. No, you don't have to do shit. But it turns out into, oh my God, I have to care about them too. You don't. Just whenever it comes up, just like don't lose your fucking shit. Because the main issue is not like, oh, men can't sleep with women. It's like, no, men are losing those third spaces. And historically, men generally bond when they're doing something, when they're part of something. And if we're all losing those things, men still have to go, oh shit, like how do I connect with other men? They have to learn new things. But if no one wants to teach them how to do that, then of course you get, oh my God, men suck, then who is going to raise the boys to become the men that you like? To become the men that you feel safe around? Like, that's the issue. But every time it comes up, it's like, oh my God, you don't have to do shit. But just be aware of all the other 80 things that you're aware of. Hey, listen, little boys are like losing their role models. They don't know how to become a man. Okay, women and men have been the same thing forever, and it has shifted. And so now, as women have been able to take new roles, men have to build and become new molds of what men are. But no one wants to teach it because anytime you bring up men, it's like, oh my God, like that's the issue. It's not that you have to sleep with every single man. It's not that you have to be nice to men. It's just like, hey, it's also an issue, like because we don't have any mold for them. We don't have anyone for them to aspire to be. And the more that you're like saying fuck you to like these young men, guess what? The people who say, hey, we don't hate you. Come here. Yeah. You know what? You are not the spawn of the devil. And then guess what? They can then mold them into whatever they want. So the epidemic is not about, hey, women, you have to sleep with every single man now or love them. It's more like, hey, it's happening. But also, as a society, we are losing the things that makes us human. And this group doesn't seem to have the tools or the support that they need to help catch up or to kind of, sort of like float and, tread water. That's it. Just keep your man hating all you want, whatever, who gives a shit? Whatever. But at least, like, some of you who can listen, that's generally it.
Male loneliness epidemic. Somebody compared that to, it's like Southerners complaining about losing slavery. I want to elaborate on that. Men complaining about the male loneliness epidemic is like a judge posting sad tweets about justice while handing out life sentences like they're candy. Men complaining about the male loneliness epidemic is like a drunk driver who's shedding tears about their empty life while driving on the wrong side of the road. Men complaining about the male loneliness epidemic is like a boss who complains about low team spirit while driving his employees into the ground for a bonus. Men complaining about the male loneliness epidemic is like a scammer who complains about their bad luck while scheming on their next victim. Men complaining about the male loneliness epidemic, it's like a CEO whining about empty boardrooms while slashing jobs to boost their stock options. Are y'all getting the point yet? Men complaining about the male loneliness epidemic is like that one friend who complains about being ghosted when they try to micromanage every single group chat, but 10 times worse. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't apply to every man out there. Doesn't apply to every man out there. And honestly, it breaks my heart to know anybody, male or female, out there is experiencing extreme loneliness. If you're ruffled by this video, it's for you. I've met plenty of good men who realize that a huge shift needs to take place. And the loneliness is not a personal issue, it's a symptom of a much, much larger problem. Are there women out there that suck? Yes, there is, obviously. But when statistics show that over 90% of violent crimes are committed by men, that's a huge, huge red flag. This isn't just about feeling alone. It's about understanding how societal pressures and outdated norms have shaped behaviors that harm everyone. We live in a world that equates masculinity with dominance, aggression, and emotional suppression. And we need laws all over the wide of the world to remind men why they shouldn't marry children. We are missing the fucking mark on what it means to be a decent human being. I want to acknowledge all the good men that are out there who are really, really doing their best to break cycles. And with men, it's a lot more difficult. And in order for men to change on a whole, as a whole, what that looks like is, nah, buddy, I'm not coming to your wedding because I know you cheated on your wife at your bachelor party. What that means is, no, we can't hang out. I don't want to be friends with you anymore because I know that you hit your girlfriend. That's what that looks like. That's the only way men will change. Therapy doesn't work for men the way it works for women. Men need to be accepted by other men around them, and until they are isolated by the men around them for their bad behavior, nothing is going to change. And to the men who are really doing their best to break out of these cycles, I am so sorry that more often than not, your actions and your efforts are overshadowed by the loudest voices that are in the room. And unfortunately, a majority of men need a lot of work done. A lot. And that's not to say that women don't need to do work too. We do. But again, when statistics show that over 90% of violent crimes are committed by men, and we need laws to remind men why they shouldn't be marrying children, we got a fucking problem. So instead of sitting there and scoffing, not all men, and deflecting or getting defensive, maybe it's time to lean into the conversation and acknowledge that change is necessary. Change is vital. By addressing these issues collectively, we can work towards a future where everyone, regardless of gender, can connect meaningfully and feel truly supported. But that is not going to happen until the obvious and the reality of what is happening is acknowledged. And that is that a lot of men suck. Period, point blank in the story. The statistics are there, okay? You can argue with me all you want, but you can't argue with data.
Let's talk about the so-called male loneliness epidemic because the internet has been swamped with debate about it, and I think the framing is all wrong. People want to paint men as victims of model society, as if dating apps, feminism, or women's sexual liberation somehow broke men. But if you look deeper, the truth is uglier. Men hasn't alone because women changed. Men are alone because men themselves are far more emotional, far less stable, and far less willing to actually work through the emotions than women are. Think about it. A woman can get her heart broken. She will cry, maybe isolate for a little while, learn on her friends, maybe even go to the therapy. She does the work, and yes, it takes her time. But eventually, she opens herself back up to love. She is mentalized, she heals, and she tries again. But a man, one heartbreak, and it's like his entire worldview collapses. Suddenly, every woman becomes the enemy. Suddenly, he tells himself never again. Every girl after this one is just going to be played. I will never put myself in that vulnerable position again. It's not stoicism, is not strength, is not is weakness. Men are so emotional fragile that a single failed relationship feels like a lifelong scar. Now, and here is where the contradiction bites even harder. These same men will tell you women are too emotional. They will call women dramatic. They will say women can't handle heartbreak. But actually, the opposite. Women process and return to love. Men shut down, wall themselves off, and then blame women for being unavailable, when really they were the ones who quit. Now, let's connect this to what people are calling the male loneliness epidemic. The reality is that men are not lonely because women are hard to please. In fact, women are incredibly easy to please. Look at social media. Women are dwelling in the comments when a guy is just being playful or goofing with his partner. They will flood a video with comments like green flag, husband material, give him another baby sis. It doesn't take much. You don't need to be 6'5". You don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to have a six pack. Honestly, for a lot of women, you just need a bed frame, decent hygiene, and an opinion that doesn't sound like you are regurgitating the latest nonsense from a misogynistic podcast name chart. That is it. That is the bar. So why are so many men failing? Because they refuse to treat women like human beings. They treat women like pussy to be solved, trophies to be won, or enemies to be controlled. Vulnerability to them isn't about sharing your story or actually opening up emotionally. Vulnerability for the average man is saying something vague like I have been through a lot and then refuses to elaborate. Their deepest emotional connection is with a limited edition gastrode flavor, and they wonder why women hasn't connecting with them. Here is the part no one wants to admit. Patronage is backfiring on men. The same system that tells men they must dominate, control, and suppress women is the same system that prevents men from learning emotional intelligence, intimacy, and vulnerability. Patronage is literally making men bad at relationship. It's making them lonely. And then there is the bizarre obsession men have with women's body. We live in the most sexually liberated era in modern history, and yet men are more angry, bitter, and repressed than ever. You will see a woman dressed however she wants, sometimes not even in a revealing way, just showing cleavage, and immediately there are men in the comments saying she needs to cover up. Why are women dressing like this? And here's the kicker. These are the same men complaining that they don't have access to women. Make it make sense. If you love women, if you are attracted to women, you are supposedly want women in your life. Why are you spending so much trying to police how they dress? Why do you think your opinion about women you don't even know should matter to her? She doesn't know you. She doesn't care about you. You are irrelevant to her life. What makes it more absurd is this. Men will say, I don't want my woman dressing like that, as if her body belongs to him.
as if she isn't a whole separate human being. This mindset is one of the clearest signs of male fragility, not male strength, because at its core is insecurity. Insecurity that she might be admired by someone else, insecurity that he can't control her, insecurity that he isn't enough, and instead of dealing with that insecurity, men lash out trying to limit and control women. Now combine this fragile emotional makeup, this insecurity, with the cultural pressure men feel to suppress feelings, and if you have got the perfect recipe for isolation, men aren't lonely because women are rejecting them and in mass. Men are lonely because they don't have the skills to form real, sustainable, vulnerable relationships. And they don't have those skills because patronage and toxic masculinity told them those skills were weakness. Let me give you an example. A woman gets cheated on, heartbroken, whatever. She will call her friends, she will cry, she will talk about it endlessly until she starts to process it. She might journal, she might go to therapy, she might channel her energy into her career or hobbies. That is resilience. A man gets cheated on and suddenly his new personality is all women are trash. He jumps into hookup culture, sleep with whoever he can, and convinces himself that using women is the only way to avoid being used. He thinks he's being strong. In reality, he's being a coward. He's hiding from the pain instead of walking through it. He's doubling down on the very behavior that guarantee he will never form another real connection. This is why women are increasingly saying men aren't dateable. Not because women suddenly have impossible standards, but because men refuse to meet the very basic standard of emotional maturity. And this is where the contradiction becomes strategy. Because women, despite being liberated, independent, financially secure, and socially freed than ever, still want love. They still want men. They still want connection. But men stuck in this circle of fragility, repression, and missiology are pushing themselves further and further away from women. The so-called male loneliness epidemic is not a woman problem, it's a man's problem. Women hasn't shutting men down, men are shutting themselves down. And here's the final point. Patronage is making men fail at the very thing they claim to want. Patronage tells men the vulnerability is weakness, that emotions are feminine, that controlling women proves strength, but in reality, all those beliefs leave men emotionally stunted, socially isolated, and romantically undesirable. Men are lonely because they are out of touch with themselves. They don't know how to sit with heartbreak. They don't know how to process grief. They don't know how to show affliction outside of sex. They don't know how to let women just be. And until men are willing to do that work, to unlearn patronage conditioning, to stop seeing women as adversary or trophies, the loneliness epidemic isn't going anywhere. It's not women's fault. It's not feminism's fault. It's not dating apps' fault. It's men's refusal to grow up emotionally.
And if you watch up to this extent, don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not just share your thought? Subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.